So I think everyone's on. Who'd like to read first?
I can read
Okay.
today.
Thanks, Cheryl.
Okay. And we're starting on the fourth step towards riches.
Page 95.
Yeah.
Specialised knowledge. Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Somebody hearing something? Am I okay to go ahead?
Yep,
No.
go ahead.
No?
Yeah. Okay to go ahead?
Yep, go ahead, Cheryl.
Okay. Specialized knowledge, personal experiences or observations. The fourth step towards riches. There are two kinds of knowledge. One is general, the other is specialized. General knowledge, no matter how great in quantity or variety it may be, is
Anybody here?
in the accumulation of the faculties of great universities possess in the aggregate practically every form of general knowledge known to civilization. Most of the professors have but little or no money. They specialize on teaching knowledge, but they do not specialize on the organization or the use of knowledge. Knowledge will not attract unless it is organized and intelligently directed through practical plan of action to the definite end of accumulation of money. Lack of understanding of this fact has
You there,
been the
Pete?
source of confusion.
Nothing?
Are we okay? To millions of people who falsely believe that knowledge is power. It is nothing of the sort. Knowledge is only potential power.
Hello?
Sorry,
If we-
Cheryl. I think some people are having difficulty getting on. Just a moment.
Yeah. Should we wait?
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's up to you, mate, if you want to contact her or whatever you want to do.
Can you hear me, Matt?
She's rung around.
I'll just take Matt off for a moment.
Okay.
I think he's on another call, but he's somehow linked with us as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead. I think we're okay now.
Alrighty, now where was I? Okay, accumulation of money. Lack of understanding fact has been the source of confusion to millions of people. Did I read that to the whole paragraph? I think I did. Okay, the missing link in all systems of education known to civilization today may be found in the failure of educational institutions to teach their students, organize, and use knowledge after they acquire it. Many people make the mistake of assuming that because Henry Ford had but little schooling, he is not a man of education. Those who make this mistake do not know Henry Ford, nor do they understand the real meaning of the word educate. That word is derived from the Latin word educo, meaning to educe, to draw out, to develop from within. An educated man is not necessarily one who has an abundance of general or special knowledge. An educated man is one who has so developed the faculties of his mind that he may acquire anything he wants or its equivalent without violating the rights of others. Henry Ford comes well within the meaning of this definition. Would someone else like to read now?
Is everybody hearing okay?
Yeah, I'm hearing okay.
Yep.
It's Chris.
Yes.
Hi, Chris.
But it looks like we lost a lot of people.
Might just put a message on the message to say they can use the link to get back on if they've dropped off.
Yeah, because I'm only showing 8 participants left.
It dials 25, but not everyone would answer. Depending on
Okay.
if they were participating. There's quite a few away today. Vlad's away, Bill, Christos, with Christmas and family obligations.
Right.
So
Okay.
Okay, shall I carry on reading?
yes, please, Chris, that would be great.
Okay. During the World War, a Chicago newspaper published certain editorials in which, among other statements, Henry Ford was called an ignorant pacifist. Mr. Ford objected to the statements, and brought suit against the paper for libelling him. When the suit was tried in the courts, the attorneys for the paper pleaded justification and placed Mr. Ford himself on the witness stand for the purpose of proving to the jury that he was ignorant. The attorneys asked Mr. Ford a great variety of questions, all of them intended to prove, by his own evidence, that while he might possess a considerable specialized knowledge pertaining to the manufacture of automobiles, he was, in the main, ignorant. Mr. Ford was plied with such questions as the following. Who was Benedict Arnold? And how many soldiers did the British send over to America to put down the rebellion of 1776? In answer to the last question, Mr. Ford replied, I do not know the exact number of soldiers the British sent over, but I have heard that it was a considerably larger numbers than ever went back. Finally, Mr. Ford became tired of this line of questioning, and in reply to a particularly offensive question, he leaned over, pointed his finger at the lawyer who had asked the question, and said, Look, if I should really want to answer the foolish question you have just asked, or any of the other questions you have been asking me, let me remind you that I have a row of electric push buttons on my desk, and by pushing the right button, I can summon to my aid men who can answer any question I desire concerning the business to which I am devoting most of my efforts. Now, will you kindly tell me why I should clutter up my mind with general knowledge for the purpose of being able to answer questions, and I have men around me who can supply any knowledge I require? There
I can't
certainly
hear a
was.
thing.
Oh shit! You serious?
I can hear you.
Now I can hear you perfectly.
Okay.
I'll just see what's happened. Keep going. I'll try and sort that out for Arvin.
Okay, Nicole. Okay. There certainly was good logic to that reply. That answer floored the lawyer. Every person in the courtroom realized it was the answer not of an ignorant man, but of a man of education. Any man is educated who knows where to get knowledge when he needs it, and how to organize that knowledge into definite plans of action. Through the assistance of his mastermind group, Henry Ford had at his command all the specialized knowledge he needed to enable him to become one of the wealthiest men in America. It was not essential that he have this knowledge in his own mind. Surely no person who has sufficient inclination and intelligence to read the book of this nature can possibly miss the significance of this illustration. Anyone want to continue?
I'm happy to. I've just lost the place. What page was it?
No, it's about page 97.
I just scrolled my. Right. Sorry.
Yeah,
Somebody else do it 'cause I'm on a different formula. A different format.
Okay.
Sorry. What was the last thing you just read?
Yeah,
I'll search
we're
for
just-
it on my.
We're line 87 starting, but I'll finish the last line again. It was not essential that he have this knowledge in his own mind. Surely no person who has sufficient inclination and intelligence to read a book of this nature can possibly miss the significance of this illustration.
Fabulous, thank you. Before you can be sure of your ability to transmute desire into its monetary equivalent, you will require specialized knowledge of the service, merchandise, or profession which you intend to offer in return for fortune. Perhaps you may need much more specialized knowledge than you have the ability or the inclination to acquire, and if this should be true, you may bridge your weakness through the aid of your mastermind group. Andrew Carnegie stated that he personally knew nothing about the technical end of the steel business. Moreover, he did not particularly care to know anything about it. The specialized knowledge which he required for the manufacture and marketing of steel he found available through the individual units of his mastermind group. The accumulation of great fortunes calls for power, and power is acquired through highly organized and intelligently directed specialized knowledge. But that knowledge does not necessarily have to be in the possession of the man who accumulates the fortune. The preceding paragraph should give hope and encouragement to the man with ambition to accumulate a fortune, who has not possessed himself of the necessary education to supply such specialized knowledge as he may require. Men sometimes go through life suffering from inferiority complexes because they are not men of education. The man who can organize and direct a mastermind group of men who possess knowledge useful in the accumulation of money is just as much a man of education as any man in the group. Remember this: if you suffer from a feeling of inferiority because your schooling has been limited. Thomas A. Edison had only 3 months of schooling during his entire life. He did not lack education, neither did he die poor. Henry Ford had less than a 6th grade schooling, but he has managed to do pretty well by himself financially. Specialized knowledge is among the most plentiful and the cheapest forms of service which may be had. If you doubt this, consult the payroll of any university. It pays to know how to purchase knowledge. First of all, decide the sort of specialized knowledge you require and the purpose for which it is needed. To a large extent, your major purpose in life, the goal toward which you are working, will determine what knowledge you need. With this question settled, your next move requires that you have accurate information concerning dependable sources of knowledge. The more important of these are A. One's own experience and education, B. Experience and education available through cooperation of others, Mastermind Alliance, C. Colleges and universities, D. Public libraries, through books and periodicals in which may be found all the knowledge organized by civilization, and E. Special training courses through night schools and home study schools in particular. As knowledge is acquired, it must be organized and put into use for a definite purpose through practical plans. Knowledge has no value except that which can be gained from its application towards some worthy end. This is one reason why college degrees are not valued more highly. They represent nothing but miscellaneous knowledge. If you contemplate taking additional schooling, first determine the purpose for which you want the knowledge you are seeking, then learn where this particular sort of knowledge can be obtained from reliable sources. Successful men in all callings never stop acquiring specialized knowledge related to their major purpose, business or profession. Those who are not successful usually make the mistake of believing that the knowledge acquiring period ends when one finishes school. The truth is that schooling does but little more than to put one in the way of learning how to acquire practical knowledge. With this changed world which began at the end of the economic collapse came also astounding changes in educational requirements. The order of the day is specialization. This truth was emphasized by Robert P. Moore, Secretary of Appointments of Columbia University. Would somebody else like to continue?
I would.
Thanks, Kelly.
Bless you.
Does
Thank
my
you.
voice, can you hear me loud enough?
Yes, beautiful.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
good.
Specialists most sought, particularly sought after by employing companies, are candidates who have specialized in some field, business school graduates with training in accounting and statistics, engineers of all varieties, journalists, architects, chemists, and also outstanding leaders and activity men of the senior class. The man who has been active on the campus, whose personality is such that he gets along with all kinds of people, and who has done an adequate job with his studies, has the most decided edge over the strictly academic student. Some of these, because of their all-around qualifications, have received several offers of positions, a few of them as many as 6. In departing from the conception that the straight-A student was invariably the one to get the choice of the better jobs, Mr. Moore said that most companies look not only to academic records, but to activity records and personalities of the students. One of the largest industrial companies, the leader in its field, in writings to Mr. Moore concerning prospective seniors at the college said, "We are interested primarily in finding men who can make exceptional progress in management work. For this reason, we emphasize qualities of character, intelligence, and personality far more than specific educational background. Apprenticeship proposed. Proposing a system of apprenticing students in offices, stores, and industrial occupations during the summer vacation, Mr. Moore asserts that after the first 2 or 3 years of college, every student should be asked to choose a definite future course and to call a halt if he has been merely pleasantly drifting without purpose through an unspecialized academic curriculum. College and universities must face the practical consideration that all professions and occupations now demand specialists. He said, urging that educational institutions accept more direct responsibility for vocational guidance. One of the most reliable and practical sources of knowledge available to those who need specialized schooling is the night schools operated in most large cities. The correspondence schools give specialized training anywhere the U.S. malls go. On all subjects that can be taught by the extension method. One advantage of home study training is the flexibility of the study program, which permits one to study during spare time. Another stupendous advantage of home study training, if the school is carefully chosen, is the fact that most courses offered by home study schools carry with them generous privilege of consultation, which can be of priceless value to those needing specialized knowledge. No matter where you live, you can share the benefits. Anything acquired without effort and without cost is generally unappreciated, after discredited. Perhaps this is why we get so little from our marvelous opportunity in public schools. The self-discipline one receives from the definite program of specialized study makes up to some extent for the wasted opportunity when knowledge was available without cost. Correspondence schools are highly organized business institutions. Their tuition fees are so low that they are forced to insist upon prompt payments. Being asked to pay, whether the student makes good grades or poor, has the effect of causing one to follow through with the course when he would otherwise drop it. The correspondence schools have not stressed this point sufficiently. For the truth is that their collection departments constitute the very finest sort of training on decision, promptness, action, and the habit of finishing that which one begins. Would someone else like to pick it up?
So I'll carry on. I learned this from experience more than 25 years ago. I enrolled for a home study course in advertising. After completing 8 or 10 lessons, I stopped studying. But the school did not stop sending me bills. Moreover, it insisted upon payment, whether I kept up my studies or not. I decided that if I had to pay for the course, which I had legally obligated myself to do, I should complete the lessons and get my money's worth. I felt, at the time, that the collection system of the school was somewhat too well organized, but I learned later in life that it was a valuable part of my training for which no charge had been made. Being forced to pay, I went ahead and completed the course. Later in life, I discovered that the efficient collection system of that school had been worth much in the form of money earned, because of the training in advertising I had so reluctantly taken. We have in this country what is said to be the greatest public school system in the world. We have invested fabulous sums for fine buildings. We have provided convenient transportation for children living in the rural districts, so they may attend the best schools. But there is one astounding weakness to this marvelous system. It is free. Now, one of the strange things about human beings is that they only value that which has a price. The free schools of America and the free public libraries do not impress people because they are free. This is the major reason why so many people find it necessary to acquire additional training after they quit school and go to work. It is also one of the major reasons why employers give greater consideration to employees who take home study courses. They have learned from experience that any person who has the ambition to give up a part of his spare time to studying at home has in him those qualities which make for leadership. This recognition is not a charitable gesture, it is sound business judgment upon the part of the employers. Okay, someone else?
I think we're going to finish it there because it's quite a long chapter. Unless you want to keep going and just we spoke
cool.
after the last long chapter and thought maybe with the longer chapters we could just do half at a time to keep it to the hour.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Good idea for me.
Yeah, no, it's fine by me as well.
Okay. All right. So let's go back and discuss. Chris, I have that little piece from Napoleon Hill with his input on this chapter, if you'd like me to start with that.
Yeah, no, why not? That'd be quite neat. We can hear the man himself, Nicole.
Yeah.
Oops.
You must remember that Mr. Edison only had 3 months of schooling in his entire life. Although he chose a work that called for the application of many of the sciences, he knew nothing about it.
Oops. Don't know what's happened there. Isn't that the way?
Try it again, Nicole. If not, I'm just booting up mine. I've got it also bookmarked. So,
Okay. All right.
But you try yours again. I'm still booting up my iPad.
Not sure why it's not.
Almost there for me.
You must remember that Mr. Edison only had 3 months of schooling in his entire life. Although he chose a work that called for the application of many of the sciences, he knew nothing about any of them. Now, you may wish to ask, how in the world did he get along with only 3 months of schooling in the business of inventing, dealing with the sciences, and yet knowing nothing about any of them? I've been asked that question many times. Well, the answer is very simple. He got along by surrounding himself with men who did understand the sciences, technical men, educated men, and he used their brains just as successfully as if he had had the knowledge himself. As a matter of fact, every successful man in the upper brackets of achievement makes use of other people's knowledge and their influence and their education under the mastermind principle. Then there would be Mr. Andrew Carnegie, my sponsor. He came over to this country in the steerage, didn't have enough money to pay first-class fare on the boat. And he rose to a high position in the world by surrounding himself with men who knew more than he did, who could do the things that he wanted done. And I could name 100 others who started in low positions and rose to high positions in life by associating themselves with other people under the mastermind principle.
So there we go.
That sort of mastermind principle really struck me because it meant that both they were playing to their own strengths. So I think somewhere else it says about Carnegie how he wasn't interested in the technical side of the steel industry, and here's Ford, a really good put down to the attorney by saying, look, these questions are a waste of time, but I've got people who can answer questions that I want to ask of them. So it seems it just really struck me as being a really neat, a very neat principle of play to your strengths and play to other people's strengths.
Yeah, it's really more important to understand the principle of the mastermind rather than trying to accumulate all of the knowledge yourself.
Yeah,
And
totally.
I was going to say that about the group this morning, because there's quite a few of us not here, to encourage everyone to ask questions, because when we're together like this, the answer always comes, even if it's just through someone who knows where to find the information. But there's always an answer when we ask a question, when we mastermind like this.
Yeah, and it's also good when I know last week I can't remember who was sharing it, but sharing about the purpose and that whole area of discovery. And you also find that when people are searching with their own questions, it also helps the rest of us who quite probably are wrestling with the same kind of questions as well. So you have a sense of not being alone with a challenge.
Yes.
Hi, this is Arvin. Oh, go ahead.
Hi, Arvin.
Yeah, I was just also going to add that I found it with, I've been part of other mastermind groups, and I found it that sometimes other people tell you something and they draw information from you that you can't really draw it from yourself. So sometimes you know the answer to your question, and just by talking to people and just kind of listening to their ideas, you get a different perspective. So I totally value what you guys were just saying about the mastermind group as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is Maggie. Hi, can you hear me?
Hi, Maggie.
Hi. One of the things that I found for myself too is sometimes I'll ask a question, or I'm in I'm having a conversation with somebody and I'm asking a question, and all of a sudden I do know the answer, and it's like all of a sudden the answer is coming out. I'm answering my own question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is so true.
I have a question.
It could. Oh, go ahead.
In terms of, when you're asking a question and receiving from it, is it the rate in which it comes, by taking and clearing, having the clarity that really helps to bring that faster? I kind of missed part of what the hearing that recording was kind of in the background, so I kind of missed a little bit about that. Or was that?
So, what was your question, Callie? I didn't quite. So,
what is the significance of the being able to recognize the question? Is it that becomes sharpened over time or something after working through making different decisions or something? Or I'm a little bit mixed up on. I'm a little bit. I'm not sure I'm following something.
I think the point that's being made is that we can rely on other people, have people around us that what we don't know, they would know or be able to direct us to there. We don't have to fill our own mind with every single bit of knowledge. We just need to know where to find it.
Oh, okay. That's right.
And one thing that I find interesting in this chapter as it relates to the self-confidence formula is in the 5th point. It says that I will succeed by attracting to myself forces I wish to use in the cooperation of other people. So the two of these kind of really, reinforce each other.
Yeah, good point.
I never thought that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember watching this YouTube video a couple of years ago. I think he was this guy. He was talking about how, a lot of people go through schooling, getting degrees. Like undergraduate degree was a big thing at some point, and then now master is not even enough. Now you have to do a PhD. A PhD is not going to be enough at a couple of years later to be able to just be financially independent, or a lot of other benefits that it brings. And it really it's interesting when Napoleon Hill talks about, you don't really need a formal education. You don't have to just learn everything. You can just work on the things that you're good at, just become the master in that area, and then just let other people help you in the areas that you're weak at, instead of just doing everything and just be good at everything but not really master of any specific domain.
That's a good point. There's even some schools here in the Puget Sound and around in Washington that have started to have the community colleges have it very specialized focus instead of it being as broad. And I think it's a lot of people who have a hard time understanding that, feeling like that they've got to have this broader and more liberal education, and it can be confusing to some people. But then it's true that when you start to really trust what it is and recognize that we already have equipped within us our own education from our own experiences, that we can take and tune in with that and trust it, then it's there for us. All that we need.
Yeah, that's right. And it goes into talking about using our faculties of the mind. So the will, imagination, perception, intuition, memory and reason are all things that we tend not to use as much as we should these days. And all of those things are just as important, if not more important, than having the actual knowledge.
Yes.
I think one of the things that really I like following on from that is that when he talked about that education is more about knowing where to get the knowledge when you need it, where you need it, and also how to organize that knowledge into definite plans of action. So I was really, having gone through loads of university myself, I was really struck with that everything he's talking about here is whether it's specialized knowledge or your mastermind group, all of it is really always to be related to what you want to use it for, and then put it into action. So there's no sort of wasted knowledge here as such.
And a lot of people, it says here in line 111, men sometimes go through life suffering from the inferiority complexes because they have no means of education. But if they put the mastermind principle into operation and had a definite purpose, they could obviously get around that through those means.
And it seems to me that, and now I can't remember if it was in the seminar or if I was reading it somewhere else, but it's been said that nothing great can ever become by one person. Like everything always takes more than one to perform a great task or a great deed. So I think that relates to this as well.
Definitely. And I think that's true not only in helping each other with the certain types of knowledge that we have to come together, but also in maintaining our strength to persevere to the end, towards our goal, because having people like ourselves in this group here who understand these principles and being able to share that with each other really helps to reinforce it within ourselves and keeps us stronger to be able to continue moving forward.
Continue. Yeah. That's a really good point, because it's so easy to fall back into old habits, right, or old thought patterns when you don't have someone, even accountability, even.
Yeah.
And I think that's, that might be part of a mastermind group as well, is to hold each other accountable. And I think, was there a mention of that in one of the lines?
Well, there's a mention. It is mentioned that there's got to be a harmony between the alliances and members, and that could be interpreted in that way too. Just holding each other accountable by just declaring what you're intending to do.
Yeah, what the purpose is, so that everybody
Right.
stays on purpose, right?
Something that I probably have noticed, and something that I've probably done myself through my years, is where he says in line 148, as knowledge is acquired, it must be organized and put into use for a definite purpose through practical plans. And I think a lot of times, anyway, I'll just talk about myself, but anyway, I know I have acquired a lot of knowledge that I would say, oh boy, that's really good. I might put that into use, and then I don't. So it's kind of like going through 4 years of college and getting a degree and then not putting it to use, the same kind of concept. So one of the things that I really have been paying attention to recently is that knowledge that I am acquiring. How I ask myself, how can I use this knowledge to put it into use? And if it's something, if I'm trying to figure out something that I really don't understand that well or whatever, I am asking more questions and finding people that can maybe help me with that. So I think that's a really good point, especially for younger people when their mind is set that they have to go and get a college education, and then what,
Yeah. One of the exercises that I've learnt to do to find out what you want to do with your knowledge is to write a list of everything you're good at, everything that you've been educated in, and everything that you love to do, and then look at the 3 columns and try and piece together something that you could combine with those things.
Yeah.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
What were those 3 again?
Things that you're good at, things that you have knowledge in or education, and things that you love to do.
Thank
I
you.
would-
Knowledge.
I've seen that, and I've seen a different version of it that has another column
Yep.
into it, and that is what the world needs.
Ah, yes.
Ah,
Good point.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe
What
we
the
should
world
all,
needs that we have a specialty in.
maybe we can all undertake to do that exercise over the next week, and come
Share
back
with each other.
and tell each other or tell the group what we came up with.
Good idea.
That'd be pretty good.
Yeah.
that'd be good.
Oh, yeah.
Alrighty. Okay, so good at, educated, love to do, and what the world needs.
I came across something this week while I was going through this chapter about Thomas Edison, and a lot of you have probably heard this story about him. His teacher sent a note home to his mother and told him, give this to your mother, don't give it to anyone else. And his mother read the note and was crying when she said to him, well, it says that you're a genius and this school's way too small for you and they've asked me to teach you at home. And then we all know his story, but then after his mother died and he was going through some family things, he came across the letter from the teacher, and it said, your child is mentally ill and we can't have him at this school anymore.
I had never heard that story.
Yeah.
And they found in Thomas Edison's diary, Thomas Edison, not in these exact words, but this is the idea. Thomas Edison was an mentally ill child, but through his hero mother became a genius. So she put the belief into his mind that he was a genius, and that's what he became.
Wow, that is amazing.
That is.
Wow. Love that.
What's really neat, because I've heard that before too, and I really, I loved it when I heard it the first time as well, is that just thinking now about that, I mean, once he had that, his mum had shared that with him, that, hey, look, you're a genius, that's why you're having to leave. The chances are he would still have heard from others that, oh, you're no good, you're not clever, whatever. But he obviously was able to keep really alive with that belief given by his mum.
Yeah, you could imagine that she would say to him, they just don't understand.
Yeah.
They don't understand your mind, yeah.
Well, she's a woman back in those days to undertake that on her own. That's just amazing.
Yeah.
It just shows you how the importance of belief in ourselves is, isn't it?
It's one of the most important things, isn't it, besides desire?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just so unfortunate that we learn so much at a young age when we don't have the skills to interpret what we're learning, right? And develop these, paradigms and faulty perceptions and that kind of thing, and that now we have to unlearn them all.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and going off that, I think even in personal development, we can become these I don't know, maybe mobile libraries just of a lot of information and books and self-development courses and programs, and not really putting them into practice. And I remember it was a time actually a couple of months ago when I am a friend of mine, we actually thought about this and we actually stopped taking more programs and books before we have put all we learn into practice in some form. And that really helped us, just like learning anything and just be like, okay, so what can I do today to put it into practice, because that might just get buried in that, massive library that we have and never be put into practice.
Like what Meg was saying there, that's a really great idea, is maybe every day or even every week saying, okay, what are the principles that I have been learning? What can I focus on to make sure that I really put it into practice? Because, it seems like, we are learning so many new principles, and maybe we aren't putting them into practice. Maybe they are just kind of sitting there on the shelf and collecting dust, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was helpful that we had from the seminar the steps that we were supposed to do every day, but that was just a starting point. I think the affirmations and the self-confidence, the taking the 5 minutes to think about how you want your day to go and sending love. That was so that was a good start, but we should be progressing from there, right?
Yeah, so we should be analysing ourselves again as we go along and say, okay, so now what is it that I need to work on, and get yourself another auto-suggestion to program that into your subconscious mind, because we should work on a couple at a time, and then once we've seen that those are working for us, move on to the next issue that we have and reprogram our mind in that area. And once you start seeing it happen, then your faith builds, and then you keep on applying it to more and more areas that you want to change.
Right, so that would be putting it into an organized plan, like what what's in the chapter. Is taking the knowledge that we've been learning and putting it into an organized plan.
Yeah, because it does take commitment to do those things every day. It does. We've got an echo now. So we really need to have a plan in place to make sure that we're following through and applying the things as we go, not just filling our heads with knowledge.
Yeah, because I think sometimes that's how I feel, is that I'm filling my head with knowledge, but how is it working for me? Does anybody else feel that way?
Yes, I do. I practice really hard to try to do the things, and then life just takes over, and then I forget, and then the thing I do try and do is read the chapter every day, but sometimes, well, most of the time I forget to do the visioneering. I don't have a set routine for it, which I think it would help if I just did it on rising. I think Nicole used to do things on the way to work and back home and at lunchtime, but sometimes that just goes out the window for me. I just work and forget about doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like to do it as soon as I wake up, so just lay in bed for a couple of minutes right then and there before you jump out of bed.
Yeah.
And also just before I go to sleep.
And would you do all of it? Would you do the definite purpose and the visioneering, and would you do them both twice a day?
In my visualization, I visualize myself rendering the service, reaping the benefits, and being the person I need to be. So I move around in my visualization doing different things, speaking to people, visiting different areas of the house, seeing my children do the things that I want them to be doing. So I move around a lot and use my visualization for 3 different purposes: the person I need to be, the service that I'm going to render and being successful in that, and having the things that I want to have in my life.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question about the... Oh, sorry.
You go. No, you go ahead.
Sure.
You go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So I think it's really interesting that you say that you visualize yourself rendering services, and I'm curious if that's something that you're planning to. I mean, is it something that you're planning to do in the future? Is that why you're visualizing it, or is it just something that you're doing it in a different quality than you're visualizing it now to?
Something that I'm advancing towards. So right now I'm a coach, and I coach one-on-one, but what I want to advance into is doing seminars. So I visualize myself looking at an audience, at a really appreciative audience, just loving this information that I'm giving to them, and people coming to me and shaking my hand and saying thank you so much for giving that to me, and then being in my home and having people there who I've taught this information to, and spending quality time with them, and everyone just being really appreciative and enjoying each other's company, and talking about this information and just having a fantastic quality of life and enjoying it together.
I love that. I'm going to attend your conferences.
Fantastic. I've got one audience so far.
Listening to somebody else this week, what was his name? Dove Barron. Somebody had sent from one of the groups had sent a video, and I just watched a little bit of what he had to say. He had a little bit of a different take on visioneering, and the 2 major points that he agreed with were that you have to be crystal clear on what it is that you want, and it has to be attached with emotion.
Yes.
But one of the things that I thought was interesting was, and we talked last week, I think, about the why, to help you feel that emotion and get connected to it emotionally. But he suggested that you also sit back and think about, well, what would it be like? What would your life be like if you don't achieve those? And that kind of strengthens your emotion to, holy smokes, if I don't achieve this, this is what my life is going to look like. So that it makes your emotion go way up.
Yes. And
Cause and effect.
Yeah, yeah, I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah.
Because, I never even let myself entertain that it's not going to happen. But at the same time, I don't think I've got enough emotion attached to my visioneering that I'm getting.
Just as a query though with that one, that approach, doesn't that I suppose it's a case of how much time you focus on that, because I suppose as a brief focus, that's a good incentive and reinforces what you want to achieve. But
I think that's what the point was. Yeah.
Yeah. I suppose
it wasn't to dwell on it and the vibration down. It was just to use as a tool to engage your emotion and bring your purpose up to a higher level of why you want to achieve this.
Yeah, I think Tony Robbins does that in his conferences. There's this process called Dickens process, and you go through either extreme side of getting the results that you want and not getting the results you want, and really works on that pain and pleasure that really moves you to get to where you want to go. And it's really odd that I've always also thought about how thinking about things that you don't want is probably not the best way to go about it. And now that you guys said that, I just thought about maybe it's just the ratio that you think about those. So maybe if you think about the things you don't want, maybe once a month, and just having that enough pain of not getting to where you want to, not getting what you want, and the rest of it just spending time on what you actually want, maybe. That's always been something I was confused about. Yeah.
I used it this week. I shut my normal business down for a week to get focused on my coaching, and I had to make a lot of phone calls to businesses in my local area, which is not my favourite thing to do, to cold call people. And on one particular day I was having I really don't want to do this moment and I really appreciated the fact that I have been really working hard on my visualizations, because I've attached so much emotion to it, and I really can't imagine myself not having it now, that I did what Cheryl said and thought, now what if I don't make these calls? What's going to happen? Well, that was it. I just went over and picked up the phone and started making the calls, because I thought, no, that's not how my life's going to be at all. I'm going to go and progress towards my goal right now. So that I appreciated then the importance of actually applying what we're learning and doing the things, because when you need it, then it's there.
Exactly. And I think that's kind of spurring me on in my business as well, where I've just been procrastinating because I really hate the technical side of what I'm trying to achieve. But it's gotten to the point now where, because I've been visioneering and I'm so I really want these goals, that now I'm going, well, you just have to do it then. You can't procrastinate anymore. Otherwise it's not going to happen for you. So I think that's worked for me.
Yeah, so you can see that you have been applying it and how this works when you apply it.
Right. But I felt like to hear somebody actually come out and say it, because we have really never spoken of it before.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Hi, Nat.
Yeah.
Hi. Sorry, I'm just here with my baby, and I'm typing on the chat here. I just want to add that this is a great discussion, and going to Anthony Robbins, the thing is, you have to be super ultra clear on what you want to achieve in life. That definite purpose, that burning desire you have inside of you. Once you get that emotion attached, there's nothing can stop you. And that's why Anthony Robbins talked about the state of your mind. Like, you have that belief. You are certain that your belief will become true. And when you're certain that your belief becomes true, there's nothing to stop you. And that's the key. I just wanted to add that up.
Thank you.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very.
Sorry, I'm on the chat, guys, while I'm making my baby sleep.
Shh.
We'll speak softly.
No, okay, but I'm going to be on mute now. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Nat.
Okay, guys.
Hey, Nicole, one question, and obviously anyone else who's been doing this a lot with the visioneering, that have you found? Cause I'm still new to doing that, but have you found when you've been doing that visioneering and you've been imagining yourself giving those talks and you've been imagining the people come up to you, have you found over time that the actual what's going through your mind, the visioning that's going through your mind, have you found that has evolved over the weeks as well, or is it the same sort of, in a way, visioned role play that you had when you started it, or has it developed?
It definitely evolves, and it gets clearer as well. Like, I think that when I go to and do my first few seminars, I'm going to be in this place that I've been visualizing. I think I'm going to look around at the walls and say, this is the place. Yeah.
Hi, Chris. Hello.
Yeah. I hear you.
Okay. Hi. Sorry, I haven't been talking because I came in late, but I think I can speak to exactly what you're saying right now about the visioneering. I've been doing this for several years, and just to give you an idea about what the results can be, and specific to the visioneering, I'm sitting right now in my office. I'm sitting in my office. Right out my window is, in about maybe 300 meters, is the Pacific Ocean, and I'm in Costa Rica. And I had actually put on my desktop about 4 years ago an office building. I'm not in an office building. I'm on the first floor, but I had put an office picture of a gentleman sitting in front of his laptop looking out of the window, and the ocean was right there, and this was his place where he worked. And that was part of my visioneering, and I looked at that every day. And there are so many things in my life today that I literally had the pictures. And I got into the habit of sticking pictures as close to what I was trying to envision. Even if it wasn't a picture of me, it was a picture of someone else, another guy doing something, driving the kind of vehicle he wanted. Or, one of them was I had a picture in one of my vision boards. Actually, I make these video vision boards, and they're only 5 or 6 minutes long, but I put music behind it. I make it very emotional, and that helps me. And I'd watch this every day. I would watch it every day, and some days it would bring me to tears. Some days it would make me elated. But the point was that it was a great deal of emotional involvement and repetition. So I would repeat it over and over and over and over and over. And many of those things have happened. And the end of this year is my last presentation for Rich Dad Education, and I've been speaking for them now for 4 years as a special guest speaker. And one of the images that I had played again and again was exactly what Nicole was saying, was people applauding or seeing you doing this presentation, and that's exactly what I had done. And it literally came from the visions I put in front of me. It works. You just do it and keep doing it until it shows up, and it'll show up. And sometimes it's scary how exact it is, to down to the degree. And you sit there and go, wow, this is exactly the same truck that I had on a picture back 5 years ago. And my wife and I are always laughing about that, because if we go back through our old journals and the books and stuff like that, it's funny that the things that, you might have 50 things that you're trying to manifest into your life, and with images and dream boards and all these kinds of things that we've made over the years. And every now and then we realize, oh, that was this one from, 2010, and that was one from 2005. And, it's funny, but these things do pop up in your life. Maybe not right away, but they do, if you keep working at it.
Yeah, I heard a story several years ago. A gentleman had a specific car that was quite a rare car, and I'm not sure exactly what it was, on his vision board. And when he ended up getting the car, it was the exact car that was actually in the picture. There was a mark on the seat or some identifying marker of the car, that the car he ended up purchasing was that exact car in the picture.
I have a great story too. I heard of a guy who put a girl on his vision board and a model on his vision board, and a few years later, his wife went through his vision board, and it was his wife.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's really encouraging.
Yeah.
Very encouraging. So glad to hear some successes like that.
Cool. I have a question for Ivan.
Sure.
Ivan, did you doing your visualization stuff? Was that like making a mind movie?
Yeah, very similar to that. Right. It's funny because right now I if you know the GoPro videos, the really high definition 4K. Yeah, they do some great videos, and I usually will take a video from something that I like. For instance, some action, something or other that I like, and I'll take that and I'll just take images, pictures, and I'll overlay those images and pictures on top of the music. Take some of their images that they already have in there. If it's something that I want, for instance, one of the things I've got on my list is to do skydiving, and I've never done that, but that's one of my new things. So it's taking those kinds of things and overlaying your images and your ideas with it. And I actually, I was reading up on subliminal, just the way the mind receives information and how it stores it and how many times and how many impressions it takes. Because I used to own an advertising company, and one of the things that was very important to what we did was the amount of impressions that it takes for a person to receive the information to the point where they will buy something. So really what we're doing in Visioneering is we're selling an idea to our mind through this repetition. We're basically marketing an idea and a concept to our subconscious and saying, this is what we want to buy, guys. And once we buy it on a subconscious, spiritual, metaphysical level, we harmonize with that, we vibrate at that frequency, and that thing comes into our life. And that's kind of the stuff that Bob was talking about in The Secret. And so you're selling it to yourself. You're creating an advertisement, and you're just showing yourself that commercial over and over and over again.
Yeah. It's reminded me of the Mind movies. I don't know if you're familiar with that or not. Have you heard of them?
Yep.
I got into that after getting into something and started to make my own. That I'd been without my computer for 4 weeks, and I just got it back recently, and so I've been out of the habit of watching my Mind movie. But when I started to make it, I did notice that with it having the photos and the subliminals and the music and things like that it really did. It does really propel you to go forward, to go to the next step. In fact, that's what led me to taking Bob Proctor's course, because it was like, okay, I got to go to the next step. Like, it was like, I can no longer live the life that I used to have.
Excellent.
Love that.
They're great. If you use the, there was a guy on YouTube who was making them, and he was using videos, like not just static pictures, but actual motion videos. Unfortunately, he was using clips from, real estate companies and, car companies and all this kind of stuff. So he was kind of stepping over people's, copyright infringement. So YouTube shut him down, and he opened up another channel, and they shut him down again. But he was doing some phenomenal videos, and for anything you wanted to, manifest in the realm of business or wealth or anything like that, he by far was the best that I've seen anywhere. And compared to the Mind movie guys or group, he was leagues ahead of that. But unfortunately, all of his content was from very, well-produced or professional videos that were, basically commercials to sell real product. So, but that's the thing. You just got to remember, marketing is marketing is what really is what they're doing. Mind movies. Every time you turn on the TV and you watch a commercial, you're watching a mind movie for their product.
I got rid of my TV.
Yeah, same here.
Mind movies over somebody else producing something was that you can add your own pictures of your family. That you love. And so when I made my movie and put pictures of my children and what I wanted to achieve for them, that just made it all that much more emotional for me. And you're right, like there's been times that they just bring me to tears when I watch it. I even had my daughter watch it with me, and it brought her to tears as well. So.
That's when you know it's working. Keep doing it.
Yeah.
Great.
Excellent.
Beautiful sharing. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
How would you go about...
You're doing your visioneering and doing your visioning for yourself. If there is something that is, especially for those of you that have experienced this, of being able to bring that visualization into the present, when you started with an idea of something that you wanted to bring into your present, and that came to you, did that also generate other ideas or opportunities to come your way, or that, to create, to have more greater awareness of what more you could do with it?
Sorry, was that a question to me?
Maybe it's well, let me go ahead and ask you as an example, Ivan, since you expressed your success story. When you started out to bring into your present of what you wanted to experience, did that contribute to opening up doors of opportunities for you that you weren't aware of when you started?
I think yes, and I think one thing I noticed was that in the process of making the videos, and I guess after I finished them, sometimes I'd play them and I'd have one scene and I'd feel very good about it, and I'd pay very close attention to how I felt. And then I'd see another scene and it just didn't resonate as much as the previous one, so to speak. And so it became a great tool for myself to actually be able to see what mattered and what I thought mattered, because those are sometimes two different things. It's like you might think you want to live a certain way or have a certain thing, but when you really put it in front of you, it doesn't really grab you at a core level. So you kind of go, oh wow, that wasn't as important to me as I thought it was. And sometimes something that might not have been as important as you thought, all of a sudden, like I said, it grabs you and it throws you, and you're in tears, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is the most important thing in my life. And that's happened to me a lot. And I like doing that. I like that because it helps me to get clear. And the clearer you are with your focus, the faster things move. And it has opened other doors. It has made me realize some things that were more important. Or another thing is that sometimes, right now, I'm doing a lot of I don't want to say development, but a lot of my mind movies involve the phrase "I am," because I am aware of the fact that I define me. And up until several years ago, the world defined me because I let the world define me based on my age, my color, my this, my that, my income status, my education, et cetera, and that's not who I am, So in the process of creating and being aware of perhaps, let's say, who I was and who I am going to be in the future and who I am all in between, I'm doing that. And so these videos are allowing me to see what I am right now and what I have the potential to be in the future, be that far away or tomorrow, so to speak. It's definitely been eye-opening like that. I hope that answered your question, sort of.
Yeah. I'm also, thinking about, like being being entrepreneur oriented as I am, and wanting to start out being pioneering something that is would be really meaningful and for a lot of people. And my starting point of reference in my mind, I see that it starts with consisting of a book, and that I haven't expanded from that yet because I haven't created anything. And so it's like that's what I'm wanting to kind of have come up for me more. And I guess that's maybe why I need to do some more of the reading, and so I can get to that, what that is, so that I can have something else to deliver other than just a book.
Yeah, I think that's a great way of looking at it, and it can expand. I was saying to my daughter today, we were looking at rescue dogs, and I was telling her, we're expanding. We're in this point in our life, we're expanding, and so a book is an incredible expansion of who you are because it continues on. And I mean, that's why we're all here right now, because a man decided at one point in his life that he was going to expand what he was into more. And so he's long gone from here, but here we are benefiting from many other people's, development in that arena. And so I encourage you, please write that book. There are people that they'll never know you that need that book, what you have.
Yeah, I've been having those compelling thoughts for over a week now. It's like, okay, I got to do this. It's like that's why I got to a retreat. Okay, retreat. Only focus on these activities, with doing these tools and stuff, and work on my expressing what I need to express.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah. Thank you.
Ivan, just a quick technical question. What do you use to? I like the idea of these sort of mind movies as such. I haven't done it before, but what's a simple way of putting it together? Or I think did you say you use GoPro videos as a software? Is that right?
Well, no. Yeah, I use Sony Vegas Studio. It's a professional video editing program. But what I use as a background, I download the GoPro videos, which are they're commercials online, like YouTube. So I'll download the video, and I'll put the video in the background, like on a layer, and I'll put my images on top of their video. Okay. So if it's a video that I like, and there's things in it that I would like to do in the future, like maybe skydiving, right? Or whatever they're doing in the GoPro video. So I'll use some of their images, but I'll put my images on top of that as well. So I'm using their professionally produced music and video and all of that kind of stuff to encourage me and to give me that feeling, because this is what I got out of being in the advertising business, is that it's about psychology. So all of these ads that are professionally produced have already gone through the approvals by psychologists.
Sorry about that.
Sorry? Yeah, they've already gone through, the approvals that this is going to have a positive impact on someone. So I do that. I use those videos, put my own images on top of it, and then it's very easy for me to produce that emotional experience, and then I just repeat it. So you just have to find a software. I can look for an easier version of that software, perhaps, that you could use to do something like that. If you're interested, I'd take a look.
Hey, cheers, that's great. Yeah, appreciate that.
I'd be interested too. Thank you.
I'm giving you guys another resource so you can look at on YouTube about mind movies.
Thanks, Kelly.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much.
Wow.
That's one thing about
all this information is brilliant.
Certainly is.
Yep. Speaking of mastermind groups, right?
Does anyone have anything else they'd like to add before we finish up?
I think this is contact Thank you.
Hey guys, it's Natalie. I just wanted to thank you as well. It's great. You guys are awesome.
Thanks for being here, Nat.
For sure. My baby's still sleeping after he can hear you guys.
Well, thank you everyone again for a fantastic study. And next week we'll finish off this chapter and be just as inspiring, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Thanks,
And
everybody.
we'll
Thank
tell
you.
each other what
Thanks, everyone.
our result
Thank you,
is.
Nicole.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Good night, everyone. Goodbye.
Hi, everyone.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye for now.